Hello, so today we'll be learning how to install Kali Linux on VirtualBox machine. If you're here, then it's safe to assume that you already know what VirtualBox is. But for those of you who have stumbled across this video, VirtualBox is basically a tool that lets you run many operating systems on your PC without installing them on the hardware. For instance, it will allow you to run Windows on a Mac and Linux on a Windows PC. It's almost as if you had another whole computer system inside your existing one. So let's get to it. In order to run Linux on conversely, Kali Linux is an operating system which is specifically designed for pen testers and ethical hackers. So if you are someone who wants to learn ethical hacking or you are a pen tester, Kali Linux is the best operating system for you because it already has all the tools a hacker will need. I mean, all the tools an ethical hacker will need, all the tools a pen tester will need, all the tools an advanced computer user would need in performing certain tasks. So Kali Linux is the go-to operating system for people with those objectives. So let's head to our browser. I'm going to open up a new tab right here. Then we'll go to the official site for VirtualBox. So I'm just going to type VirtualBox. Click on downloads. So over here you'll be greeted with this screen. Over here you'd have to select your platform. I am using Windows, so I'll click on Windows host. If I was using Mac, I would have clicked on Mac, and the same thing applies to the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and click Windows. And then here you are. I've already downloaded the image, so I'm not going to download it again. However, let's click on save and it will be downloaded for you. So I'm going to cancel this. Now that we have our image downloaded over here, it's now time to download our Kali Linux iOS file as well. So I'm going to go to the Kali Linux official website, which is kali.org. So over here at the kalilinux.org, you have to navigate to the specific disk image you'll be using. So with this tutorial, I'm going to use the everything. However, the same installation process is going to apply to each or any other image you are running. So I'm going to run everything because it contains every single tool that I would need. So I'll click everything. Now it says that the image is officially designed to air grab environments where pre-installed tools are essential. Please take note that this is a large image and can download over time. So initially you could download it straight off the site, but now it is not more possible. So therefore you'd have to download it through a torrent site. You'd have to download it through torrent. So the best thing is to quickly download uTorrent or any other torrenting application you could use. I use uTorrent, so quickly download uTorrent and then click OK. So your uTorrent file will be downloaded. So if you open the uTorrent file, it will take you to your uTorrent and then you click OK to download it. Again, I've downloaded Kali Linux. It is 11 GB, which is very huge. I've downloaded it, so therefore I won't be downloading it anymore. So I'm going to stop it. I have our uTorrent setup here. So we're going to quickly install our VirtualBox. So I'm going to click on it. The rest of the installation process is virtually straightforward. So clicking on next a couple of times will get it installed for you. Great. Now that it's finished installing, so I have mine here. I have my image here. Yours is probably in your download folder, but I decided to put mine in a separate folder here, which is Kali. So taking note of this, let's get started with the installation process of Kali Linux in VirtualBox. So I'm going to open VirtualBox. Over here, I'm going to click on New. By clicking on New, I'll get a suitable name for my machine. So I'm going to type Kali. Now I'm going to select the image. So I'm going to look for a specific folder I kept the image. It's here, so I'm going to click on it and click open. That's all I need to do. Then I click next. I recommend setting your processors to 2 core, depending on the amount of processor you have and the amount of memory you have. So I'm going to put this in 2 cores, then I'll click next. I'm going to leave everything as it is, then I'll click next. I'm leaving it at 25 gigabyte for just this tutorial purposes, but on my other machine where I actually do work on it, I have up to 300 gigabytes. So everything is set up. Now click finished. You'll be greeted with this screen. Now it's time for you to install Kali Linux. So go ahead and click either start or click on power on. I'm going to click on start. Alright, so I'm going to click on graphical install. If the mouse pointer doesn't appear, just use your keyboard with your up and down keys. So I'm going to click on graphical install. I'm going to select my preferred language, so I'm going to leave it at English, then I'll click continue. Over here I'm going to leave it at United States, but you can decide to change the location, but mind you, it's not every single country you can find here. So if you can't find your country, just click order, then click continue, but I'm going to leave mine in the United States. I prefer leaving my keyboard in United States as well, so I'm going to click continue. So now it's going to configure your keyboard and also your language based on the location you selected it, and also load some few additional components. So I'm going to relax here and wait for it to do its work. Alright, so now over here it's time for us to select a host name for our machine. I prefer leaving it as Kali, but if you want to customize stuffs, you can change the name. I would recommend you leave it at Kali because if you are an advanced user of Kali Linux and you use a different name as your host name, but in the process of you doing certain things, when you are requested for the host name, if you don't put the actual host name you use during this process, it might not work. So I prefer leaving everything at Kali actually. So I'm going to click continue. Domain name, I don't actually have a domain, so I'll leave it as blank and click continue. So full name of new user, I'm going to leave it as Ultra, then I'll click continue. So username for your account is going to be Ultra, yes, so I'm going to click continue. And over here I'm prompted to put in a password. I'll put my password as 12345. I don't recommend you doing that, but for tutorial purposes I'm going to do mine as 12345. Mind you, you have to take note of this password because you would need it to log into Kali Linux. So Kali Linux, make sure you put in a password before you actually start to use the machine. That's how interesting it is in using Linux based machines. So I'm going to click continue. Now over here I'm supposed to configure the clock. I actually, since I'm running this on a virtual machine, I'm going to leave it at Eastern, then I'm going to click continue. Later on, if there's a need for me to change the time zone, I can easily do it. So I'm just going to click continue so that we move on. Now this is the most interesting part of the installation process, is where you have to partition your hard disk and set your RAM and whatever. So I prefer you leave it as guided use entire disk. Guided use entire disk. This would prevent you from running into other problems in the future. I've seen videos where people would take you through some various steps that take you through manual and have you set some stuffs that are very unnecessary just to have quality content and stuff, just to have different content and stuff. But I would prefer you leave it at guided use entire disk, then click continue. I'm going to select my hard disk and then I'll click continue. all files in one partition and click continue. Now that I'm done setting up my partition, I'm going to click on continue. Yes, continue. Now Kali Linux is going to be installed on my hard disk. It might take some time, so you'd have to be patient and wait for it to install the base system. So I'm going to speed up this installation process. Alright, now in this part of the screen, I recommend clicking on continue. Now that the setup is installed, it is time to install the grub bootloader. Take note that if you should click no, you won't be able to access the Kali Linux. It's going to be a whole lot of issues. So I'm going to leave it at yes, and I'll click on continue. So now it's asking where you'd like to install the grub bootloader. So it's supposed to be installed exactly where the image is installed. So I'm going to click on the second option, and I'll click on continue. So it's going to go ahead and install the grub bootloader. So if you have gotten to this page, it means you have been successful. So if you've gotten to this page, it means you have been successful in shit. So if you've gotten to this page, it means you've been successful in installing Kali Linux. So the last thing to do is to click on continue and have it finish installing. Now just press enter. And you'll be greeted with this page. Once you're greeted with this page, you have to type in the username you kept in during the installation process and also the password. So remember, the username was Ultra and the password was 12345. And just like that, you've installed Kali Linux on your VirtualBox successfully. Now upon installing Kali Linux on your VirtualBox successfully, there are a lot of things you'd have to do, but we're going to leave it here. And if you are new to Kali Linux and you'd want to learn more about Kali Linux, how to use it for ethical hacking, how to use it for pen testing, etc., I would suggest you kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, I'm going to create a series where I explain in details from beginners to advanced how you could use Kali Linux for pen testing. So that is it for today. See you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.